and then we'll get going here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. I am Andrea Suhaka, the Dr. Mac Board Chairman. And thank you, Jamie. Take it away, team.
Thanks, Andrea, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Dr. Mack's April educational meeting. Today's meeting will be focused on learning about the transportation needs and opportunities specifically for the youth and older adults in our communities. Yes. Oh, as usual, Steph will begin the meeting by reminding us all of our mission and addressing some Zoom housekeeping items. Sorry, Steph.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So for those of you who are new to our meetings, welcome. We have kind of started this year, but we like to share our mission at the beginning of each meeting just to kind of remind ourselves how we look at things. So Dr. Mack's mission takes a multi-level approach to inform and empower people to overcome ability barriers through education, collaboration, advocacy, and really just overall enhance quality of life. So if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and type your name and organization into the chat. We kindly ask everyone stay muted unless you're speaking, but please feel free to use the chat as needed for questions or share comments, links, whatever, throughout the meeting. You can also use your virtual hand. You can raise that by using the reactions button if you have something to add. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and move on to some staff introductions. We do have two of our staff that are out today, unfortunately, but we will go ahead and start off with Latoya.
Thanks, Steph. So I'm Latoya Pranti. I'm the Program and Operations Development Manager here with Dr. Mack. So I wanted to talk about a little bit of the LCCs and how they're going. This last month, we really dove into all the different transportation options within the counties. I really looked deeply into those. And next month, we're really excited about seeing what we can collect from that. However, I wanted to say whatever's working is working because we're starting to increase our members in these LCCs. So I'm really excited about that. I will still continue to encourage you, if you're not part of an LCC, to please join one in your county. Your opinion and your voice matters. And so I really think it's adamant to make sure that you guys are being involved in any way possible when we're having, transportation issues already as we are dealing with. So if you're not involved, please reach out to me and I can get you going, or you can go to our website under the LCCs and join one of them. Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Some things, Latoya. I'm going to keep my introduction short just because I'll be talking a little bit later in the meeting about some of our new things that we have going on. So yeah, hi everyone, I'm Stephanie O'Neill. I'm the Program Manager for Special Projects. I oversee our travel training program, our tech training, our kind of a whole bunch of stuff. So nice to meet you. Malia.
Hi everyone, my name's Malia Munson. I'm the Administrative Project Coordinator at Dr. Mack. Apologies for my camera being off. I was having some difficulties before the meeting. Maria is usually the one that pops in here. She's kind of our INA, Information and Assistance Line guru. But because she's out today, I just want to remind everyone of all the new and fun things we have in the information and assistance realm. We now have a chat function on our website that everyone can use to get a lot of the transportation resources that they would get from an INA call. We still have our INA phone line. We have our Getting There app. We have our Getting There guides, physical. And we can also do text messaging at this point. So please, if anybody or anyone you know needs transportation options, try one of those new fun functions that we have. Arthur?
Hi, everyone. My name is Arthur. I am the Outreach and Development Coordinator here at Dr. Mack. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the events that we're going to be at. One is tomorrow. We're going to be at the Family Resource Fair with St. Vrain School District. I will specifically be there. We're also going to be at the Healthy Aging Expo in Inglewood on the 17th. And some of the other stuff we are going to be at, we're actually going to be at the spring egg hunt at Paco Sanchez Park on the 19th. And then we will also be at the Community Safety Fair in Netherlands on the 26th. So we're going to be all about in the community this month in April, and actually we have quite a few things set up for May too. So including May 1st, since this will be before our next meeting, we'll be at the Active Health Adult Healthy Living Expo in Littleton. So yeah, so we got a lot of stuff. We're going to be in the community a lot.
Thanks, Arthur. Cool. Well, so we will go ahead and move in. We have two wonderful speakers today for our meeting. Like we mentioned in the beginning, our meeting today is focused on older adults and youth. So we have two different organizations that kind of focus on each of those groups. So first up, we have Bob Brocker from AgeWise, who is going to talk to us a little bit about older adults.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate being here. I guess I can share my screen. No, I can't. Can whoever's in control, if you can fix that.
You should be able to now. Let me just make
I
sure.
think I did it.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So before I step into this, PowerPoint slide, and I gotta be careful what I'm stepping into. The reason for me being here today is I've been involved with aging in Colorado for about the last 15 years in different capacities at different organizations, always as a volunteer. Worked in the railroad industry for a very long time, and started this organization called AgeWise Colorado about 5.5 years ago, simply because it was clear that there was a need, which has been identified in many different surveys. There was a strong need for people to be able to find vetted resource providers, service providers, great information, reliable information, and ongoing education to help them navigate the aging journey here in Colorado. And it is quite a journey. And I'm going to just talk through a few of these slides, and then I'm going to go to the website and very quickly do a quick show. So now I'm not sure which screen you're actually seeing.
We're seeing the presenter slide. So Bob, in the top left corner, if you click on display settings, you'll be able to click swap presenter view, and that will give us the full screen. The top option. Yeah, perfect.
There we go. Okay. All right. So there are about 3 million people in the state of Colorado who over about the age of 40-ish. There's no clear boundary there. We picked that simply because to have a number. So 40 to 60 being roughly the sandwich generation, caregiver generation, which many of you people are in yourselves, and then the 60 plus demographic. So people age 60 to 100. And when I mentioned earlier why we are doing that, we've quickly become the trusted go-to online connecting point for those older Coloradans and their families. And Dr. Mac's been one of our service providers for a long time because we want to help make sure people know where to go to find transportation, which is one of the biggest categories of demand we see on our website day in and day out is, how do I get somewhere when I don't drive anymore or I can't drive anymore? So there are a lot of challenges and opportunities on that aging journey. And so we just we're here to help connect people when they need us. Very few people actually plan their aging journey ahead of time. That would be the exception. The rule is we react to what's happening to us as we go through time. So far this year, by the end of the year, about 60,000 people will have visited our website, And we'll have about 9,000 subscribers to our weekly newsletter. And you too could be one of those people. It's easy to do. Here's a few testimonials from people who have been using the site. I'll let you read those. I'll give you just a minute. The one at the bottom is particularly important because that's where the sandwich generation comes in. A lot of folks find themselves becoming a caregiver and they didn't even know what that meant. So now they are one, and it gets to be pretty stressful. Any of you who have been through it know that for a fact. I know it too. What makes us different than other resource directories? Well, one is that we're not just a resource directory. We provide a lot more information than that. And we do have these webinars, frequently, usually a couple times a month on different topics. And we've cultivated this reputation for being reliable. And we're very well connected to the aging network here in Colorado. There are a lot of organizations, both formal and informal, who are focused on helping people with aging in the state and their adult children and friends as well. Let's see, let's skip over that one. Another reason for doing this is that, simply because the state's population is getting older pretty fast. By 2030, we'll have more people over 65 than under 18. I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's going to be that way for at least another decade, or if not longer. And then there's this whole thing called the longevity economy, which for businesses that are focused on anything related to people spending money, this is an audience that they really need to pay attention to. This is from the state demographer. It kind of shows that the sort of the parade of growth in different age categories, demographics in the state. And as you can see here on the far right, the number of people over 65 is growing pretty quickly by 2030. And as compared to 2020, a decade earlier. So it's almost a 400,000 person increase in the age 65 plus population. Some of the key challenges, financial insecurity. There's, limited income, unexpected early retirements, difficulty handling unexpected costs, and so on, and healthcare issues. Caregiving can be a burden financially. The average out-of-pocket cost for being a caregiver for an older family member runs between $8,000 and $10,000 a year, not including lost wages and benefits. There are housing and mobility challenges. Most people want to age in their homes. Sometimes that requires some home modifications and some other things that need to be done in order to enable that. Transportation being a key feature, being able to get to the doctor, a grocery store, and so on. And frankly, there just aren't enough transportation providers. So, and then there's the issue of social isolation. A lot of older adults live alone and have limited access to social activities. Then we get into this big difference between health span and lifespan. So it's, roughly 10 years difference between, living a healthy span of life versus just living, period. So those last 10 years is where a lot of medical expenses come into play and a lot of other things that are related to that. Interesting factoid, while 96% of medical schools require pediatric rotations, only 10% require geriatric rotations. So the docs aren't getting educated on how to deal with older people. And then these are just a few of the connections that we have. Now, I'm going to stop this for a moment and pick up on the website. So I got to get out of this. Okay. If I get close on time, just somebody tell me, because I'm not keeping track. So
You're good. Thank you.
okay, so this is our website, our homepage on our website. Easy to find, AgeWiseColorado.org. And I'll go through this top line first. Our about section. We have a lot of information about what I just described. And then our board is down here below. We have about a dozen people on our board. They come from all different walks of life. And we have one person that would be Molly, who lives in a rural area. So she's kind of representing rural Coloradans. And then we have Penny, who is located in Colorado Springs. Everyone else is in the Denver metro area. Penny and Joey and Ronica and Karen are all members of the Colorado Commission on Aging, which is the governor appointed commission. Tyler is runs MedRide, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. Then we have these 12 categories of service providers, and this is one that gets a lot of hits, actually, end of life. A lot of people want to know about things like wills and estate planning and how to deal with funerals, or how to deal with the body when somebody dies, and a lot of other things that are related to end of life. And so this is kind of the typical way that you would go through one of these things. So you click on this one and you get things like this, estate planning, and then click over here and we just want to see the city and county of Denver, for example. And so this is what you get. So you click on any one of these, and these profiles of organizations all look similar the way they're laid out. And here's a description that was written by the estate planning attorney, and then what areas that she is involved in and what service areas. So they're all set up the same way. It's, the only difference being who they are. Practical advice. This is where we have about 300 and some articles on a wide variety of topics. You can see the last couple that have been posted. Repayments for Social Security, what does that mean? My parent is a hoarder, and there are a lot of parents who are hoarders. How do you deal with that? Why women are at greater risk for Alzheimer's disease, and so forth. And so you can find sort of an index over here on the right-hand side and click on the subject areas that are of interest, and then you'll get a list. Then we also have the webinar recordings. We've got probably pretty close to 80 webinar recordings that we've done in the last 3.5 years. And some of these we repeat every year, just get an update. I will say that, anything that has anything to do with Alzheimer's, there's always a lot of interest. On May 14th, we have Dr. Huntington Potter, who's a researcher in Alzheimer's at CU Anschutz, is going to be talking about his latest research. That'll be posted on our website. It's free to register, just like today, free to register for any of these webinars, and you can either attend or see the recording later. Then we have these guides that we have posted. This one has obviously been translated into Spanish. These others have not yet. this is probably one that gets downloaded the most, what to do when someone dies. And then we have also a link to the Colorado Senior Law Handbook here. So to download the guides, you just fill in this, click on whichever one you want. And you can also subscribe to the newsletter here. We have about pretty close to 6,500 newsletter subscribers. And then we have this newer section, which is books. So, and anybody on this call or anybody that comes to our website can make a book suggestion. You just click here. But these are some of the books that we have posted so far. This is only, oh gosh, about 2.5 weeks in since we started this. And a few of these are local authors, Colorado local. We also have volunteer opportunities here. If you click that, you can see, what it means to be a volunteer, which is, pretty easy to do if you're interested. And then you just fill in this information, click whatever boxes you're interested in, and away you go. So I'm going to stop there and see if you have any questions. No? Okay. Well, if not, I'm finished.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. That was very, very informative, and I appreciate kind of the recap of the resources that are on the AgeWise website. I think it's really helpful to have those guides, be able to download them, and just kind of access them whenever you want. So appreciate the information. If anyone does have any questions that come up, feel free to put them in the chat, and I can, I don't know, Bob, if you're going to stay on, you can answer them, or I can just pass them along if we get some more questions. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I'll hang on for a bit.
All right. Well, next we will go ahead and move on to our next speaker, who is from HopSkipDrive. We have Jack, who will just be talking about kind of the needs of transportation for youth and a little bit about their services.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you all for having me today. Appreciate the opportunity to share on HopSkipDrive with Dr. Mack and the community. I am also going to screen share, so if I could get access to that, that would be appreciated as well, please.
Should be good to go now.
Cool. Great. I think I clicked the wrong thing, didn't I?
See your screen, your desktop, some messages.
Sorry, let me try that again. Can you see my Zoom now? Or my presentation now?
Yep. Yeah, we can see.
Great.
You just need presentation mode.
Great. Cool. Did that work?
Yes, all good.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for bearing with me there. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for having me. My name is Jack with HopSkipDrive. We are a transportation resource for all members of the community, but we really specialize in older adults and youth. And we are a national organization, but Denver and Colorado are one of our biggest areas. So excited to connect with you all today. Skip that agenda. So real quick overview on HopSkipDrive. We are technically a technology company that specializes in transportation challenges where there's a heightened need for safety, equity, and care. So again, when I go back to those populations that we specialize in, those, when you think about school-age children or aging adults, they obviously need a little bit more care, attention, and maybe some more accommodations with their transportation. And that's what HopSkipDrive does. So we were founded a little over 10 years ago by 3 working moms, one of whom is still our CEO today. because they were facing transportation challenges in their everyday life. They couldn't get their children where they needed to be. When you think about being a working parent or a caregiver, when school lets out at 3 and soccer practice starts at 3:30 and you are expected to be in the office or in front of your computer until 5:30, how do you get your kids where they need to be? So that was the genesis of HopSkipDrive. The very first kids to ever get in a HopSkipDrive vehicle were those 3 moms' own kids. So safety has been, our main pillar from day one. And then from there, we kind of pivoted from being more of a caregiver service to a service for agencies, school districts, nonprofits that were facing transportation challenges. Basically starting in like 2017 when Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services came to us and said they would like to use HopSkipDrive for their foster youth. And kind of ever since then, we've been like more of a agency facing service. But I will dive more into that later. But yes, we are in 17 states and counting, but we like to call Colorado and Denver our second home. It was the second state that we came to. It's our second biggest state behind California. And we have a lot of great community partners here. So HopSkipDrive, we kind of have 6 main use cases. Most of them are for youth or school-age children that are in vulnerable populations, which I will dive into a little bit later, but mostly students who are experiencing homelessness, students who are in the foster care or child welfare systems, students who may have a disability, a special accommodation at school, an IEP. Every now and then we do general education students, but it is very rare for us. And then we do older adults as well. So we do that through 2 different avenues, which I will touch on later. And now we just have started to do wheelchair accessible vehicles in Colorado where we can hopefully meet the need of the disability community and offer a more robust transportation options for people who may be in wheelchairs or other medical devices. So what makes HopSkipDrive HopSkipDrive? We call the people behind the wheel care drivers. These are caregivers on wheels who use their own vehicles to go and pick up our riders wherever they might be and transport them to where they need to be. The first thing that you need to be a HopSkipDrive care driver is at least 5 years of caregiving experience. And actually the median number of years that a caregiver on our platform has is over 10 years. So when we are recruiting drivers, we are really looking at parents, grandparents, teachers, nurses, retired caregivers, people who have been foster parents. So the number one thing to get behind the wheel for a HopSkipDrive ride is you need to have a caregiving background, and you really need to want to work with vulnerable populations, whether it's kids, whether it's the aging population. You really need to be invested in the well-being of those populations. You also need to be able to pass a rigorous 15-point certification process. So that includes a name-based and fingerprint-based check at the state level, FBI level, federal level, child abuse and neglect search, sex abuse history search, and many other things. And then also be able to go through vehicle inspections, medical exams, and then pass a video screening, which is very similar to an interview. So we are technically a rideshare company, but what differentiates us is the people behind the wheel who are committed to being caregivers on wheels. Basically, how HopSkipDrive works is the school district or an agency, like maybe a county welfare office, will identify a need for care-centered transportation. Obviously, not everyone involved in that entity would be getting HopSkipDrive. They might be getting connected to RTD or a MedCab service, but sometimes they identify HopSkipDrive as the best mode of transportation. They identify them and then make a referral to our team. Our team will help the agency set up rides for these passengers. One thing about HopSkipDrive is a lot of our rides are reoccurring rides. So when you think about a kid going to school every day, or maybe someone in the aging community, they might have a standing medical appointment or they might have a standing social appointment. We're picking these people up at the same time every day or same time every week. So it's really easy to just set up those rides on a recurring basis. Hopefully for, most school employees or, nonprofit employees, they're going in, setting up that ride once. The ride comes at that same time every time, usually the same driver. And it's a lot different than having to order a rideshare app every single time you want to get a ride. So we work with the agency to set up those rides. Then you get connected to the network of care drivers. Our care drivers all go through, training and driver education processes. So certain drivers, all of our drivers are highly trained, but then some can unlock additional rides, like by taking training modules that specialize in the aging population, or do trauma-informed care training, or do an extra training to learn about the disability community to unlock more rides because they are now more versed in those populations. We then pick the rider up with in those small vehicles. Our cars are displayed with signs, decals. Our drivers wear those bright orange shirts so that they can be identified. But then there's also a verification process before the ride can start. So there's an exchanging of maybe a code word or birthdays, or there's also like little ID badges that are in the app so that they can exchange. And obviously we want to make sure that whoever the ride is for, that is who is getting picked up, and that they're matched with the right driver. So big verification process there. And then anyone who's involved in setting up the ride or invested in the ride can then follow along on their phone, receive either text message alerts or like live tracking via an app. And this can be, sometimes the ride will be arranged by a school administrator, and the parent doesn't need to do anything, but they can at least be up to date on when the ride is 10 minutes out or when the ride is here. The same with, the aging population, someone in their life, maybe it's one of their own kids or a caregiver or a partner. They might not need to do all the ride setting up, but they can at least be privy to what's happening. They can get alerts. They can be notified that the person was dropped off and picked up safely. So there's great transparency on that end. And then also our team is literally live tracking every single ride that is going on throughout the country. So we have a huge team that is literally sitting on computers with headsets on, ready to make phone calls, receive phone calls. They're watching and tracking these rides on their routes in live time, making sure that rides aren't stopping for too long or taking a different route. So we have a huge team of support members who are there to be ready to help on a live ride situation, which is very rare. Continuing along, we, HopSkipDrive, have school district partners all throughout the Front Range of Colorado. So we are all the way up in Weld and Larimer County. We're down in Colorado Springs, everywhere in between. A lot of our work happens in the Denver metro area. So obviously DPS, Aurora Public Schools, Cherry Creek Schools are some of our bigger partners. But we work with pretty much every major school district in the state. We also work with several large county welfare offices. So think Denver DHS, Arapahoe County, Douglas County, Adams County, etc. And those rides that we do with them are for maybe foster youth or for aging populations or for adults with disabilities. Those entities are the ones who are arranging rides for us. Who's in our vehicles? So HopSkipDrive, when we're transporting students, really transports three major populations. And this is because these three populations have federal and state mandates that protect not only their transportation rights, but a whole bunch of other educational rights for them. So we transport our biggest population is students with disabilities and special needs. If they have an IEP or a 504 plan, they can get access to HopSkipDrive through the IDEA. Similar mechanism for students in foster care or other out-of-home placements through ESSA. And then our students experiencing homelessness receive supports through the McKinney-Vento Act. So when people ask about how is HopSkipDrive funded or paid for, these are funded mandates at the federal level that get passed down to the state, then down to the county, then down to the school district. And they're basically using the same dollars and same funding mechanism that they would to use to pay for a school bus or a med van. They just use those dollars to pay for HopSkipDrive. So when we're talking about students, there's no cost to the caregiver, there's no cost to the student. They're still using that same pot of money that they would to pay for that student to have a seat on a school bus. Now they can pay for a HopSkipDrive ride where they get individualized care-centered transportation. So no additional cost to the school district, really. And then we also have a cohort of older adult passengers. Denver is actually our biggest market for the aging population, where we do a ton of rides. We do that in two main ways. The main way is through a nonprofit agency or an agency partnership, where, like I said, a county Department of Human Services or maybe a nonprofit organization, we partner with them, set up an account, and then they arrange the rides for their population. That is usually like grant funded or general operating funds. We do have a program called HopSkip Impact, which offers a discounted rate for nonprofit organizations in the area. So, like a foster care org or something like a Dr. Cog or something like that will get a discounted rate to use us for transportation. And then alternatively, there is a way for aging or anyone to access HopSkipDrive through our caregiver app, which is, if you've ever hailed a ride share on your phone before, it is pretty similar. You enter your rider information, you enter your credit card information, and then you can book a ride right there on your phone. And that is often used either by the older adult themselves or perhaps by a caregiver in their life. Maybe it's one of their adult children or maybe a partner that is trying to get them from A to B. But that is like a very familiar ride share process. And then kind of last but not least, our biggest aging adult partnership in the Denver area is with Dr. Cog, the Denver Regional Council of Governments. And they do a ton of supports for the aging population in the Denver metro area. And one of those biggest supports is they offer transportation assistance. So they do offer other ride shares. They do offer, they connect with RTD, but one of the suite of options that they offer is a HopSkipDrive ride. And at this point, we do thousands of rides with Dr. Cog every year. About 1,000 passengers come through Dr. Cog and HopSkipDrive every year. And it's really an option for them to provide a different type of rideshare experience where maybe that individual needs door-to-door service. Our drivers can get out, escort the person to the door, or meet them at the door and take them to the car, which is not something you might traditionally experience with other transportation services. So we're really proud of our partnership with Dr. Cog. And they're like our main older population partner here in Colorado. So just wanted to give them a shout out. And I know I breezed through that, but here is my information. There's my email there if you have any questions. I saw during my spiel that the chat had some questions in it, so I will maybe stop sharing my screen and take a look at those questions. But if anyone had anything they wanted to ask out loud, I am all ears. Well, so Andrea asked, what is the cost of HopSkipDrive? Really depends on a multitude of factors. When I don't know the cost for like the caregiver app, that is kind of something that I don't really interface with all that much. But when we do offer a discounted rate to a nonprofit organization, it's designed to be more cost competitive than an Uber or a Lyft. So pretty comparable to other rideshare services. When we are interfacing with a school district or a county welfare agency, a number of factors go into determining that cost. So I don't have exact figures, but feel free to shoot me a note and I can maybe dive in deeper with, someone on my sales team or something.
I did not know, Jack, this is more of a comment than a question, that you guys provided rides for older adults and that you had accessibility available or accessible vehicles. I know when we spoke a little while ago, I thought it was just for kids, but this is great to know because I think we also list you as one of our resources, but for kiddos. So this is helpful to know that you also serve other populations. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's you you bring up a good point, Colleen. If you go to our website, you wouldn't necessarily know that we do that population, right? Our branding is kind of more kid focused. I will say our Denver offering for older folks and folks of any age is a pretty unique market here. But so really proud of what we can offer here in Colorado. But you bring up a good point. Not everyone does know that. So yeah, thank you.
Not sure. There's a question from Amy, but I'm not sure if it's for Bob or for Jack. And she wants to know what are your funding resources? Amy, can you tell me who that question is for? Exactly. Is she still on? Let me see.
I think that question was sent during Bob's presentation for
I thought
AgeWise.
so,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to assume.
Well, I did answer in the chat, but just for all of you to know, I guess it's since we're a 501c3 nonprofit, it's gifts, grants, donations, sponsorships, contributions from service providers. So those are the sources of revenue, and of course, there's never enough of any of them. So there you go.
Definitely. Thank you. And then I think the only other question in the chat for you, Jack, was Sarah asking about a dispatch center and if you do tours of a dispatch center.
We do not. We are actually a fully remote company. So we we do have like a little headquarters in Los Angeles where some of our Safe Ride support people are. But for the most part, we are fully remote. Almost everything is booked digitally just for like a streamlining process, but people can call in, edit rides, or ask questions or things like that, or have someone build the ride for you. But in terms of like a physical dispatch center, we do not have that. So yeah.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that does. And I'm also curious if like do you guys require like an app or can you call kind of like go grandparent? Like you can just call and have somebody set up a ride for you, or do you have to have like an account?
Yeah, you have to have an account, unfortunately. That is
Okay.
something I hear a lot from the community, and I've been pushing for, because if we do want to serve this population, we have to meet them where they are, and obviously an app-based service might not be the best for everyone. So thank you for pointing that out. It's something that I'm pushing for. But right now it's pretty much only, a digital, either on your desktop or through an app.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for, oh, go ahead.
So Jack, this is Bob Rucker. So where are you located?
I'm in Inglewood. I'm
Oh,
in
okay. So you're
Colorado.
close.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So happy to meet up with anyone on this call if they have questions or want to build community or anything like that. I'm local. So yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Any other final questions for Jack before we move on? Awesome. Yeah, thank you for joining. I know we get a lot of feedback from folks. We do some travel training classes at some schools, and they always mention that they use HopSkipDrive. So glad to have you in the community. Awesome. All right. So next we are, we just kind of wanted to show what the needs are from youth and older adults in our community. We get a lot of calls on our information and assistance line from older adults, really from all ages, but we've about 50% of the over 50% of the people that we've helped through all of our programs are ages 65 and older. And we've provided, I can't even tell you how many trainings, but countless travel trainings in schools. We most recently did one at Lakewood High School, trained around 1,000 students there. So really great to connect with those groups and kind of hear their perspectives on transportation and the barriers and their experiences and everything. So yeah, these are two groups that we're always talking to and communicating with and getting feedback from. So yeah, thank you both for joining today. All right, so the next slide just has, we mentioned in our last meeting, we've been sending out some marketing materials if you get our emails, but our tech training is up and running. It's one of our newer programs. This is it's a program meant for folks who are wanting to get more comfortable with their phones, their smartphones. Maybe you aren't sure how to download apps, update apps, delete them. Maybe you want to manage some notification settings. Maybe you just have a podcast that you really want to download and you just don't know how to do it. That's really what these tech trainings are for. We will also, one of the main goals with this program is to help folks with our Bird and Uber travel training class, because that's a very smartphone based course. So some of the feedback we've gotten from participants in that class is that they're not super comfortable with their smartphones. So we were like, how can we help this? So that's kind of why we built this training. So I encourage everyone to, if you have questions, to reach out to me directly and we can get some tech training set up. So yeah. And then the next slide is super exciting. This is a program that's launching today, actually. So by attending this meeting, you're getting first word of it. There'll be an email sent out after this, but our Transit to Table program, this is, like I said, our newest program. So the main goal with this is to really just address food insecurity in the Denver metro area. We've partnered with some rideshare providers like Uber, who will be providing free access to transportation for folks to access food banks. There is a list of, there's 10 different food banks that are participating in the program. They'll be included in the email that I'll send out. So if you don't get our emails and you want to get our emails, maybe someone else from the Dr. Mac team can either paste the newsletter sign up link, or if you just want to put your name and your email in the chat, if you haven't done so already, we can get you in there. But yeah, it's a really cool program. I'm very excited. Yeah, that's kind of all that I have to say. The email will have a lot more information about the program, but just wanted to mention it here because it's launching today. So yeah. And then I will pass it off to Colleen, who's gonna lead us in community updates.
Team has really worked hard on getting that program together, especially Steph. So I'm really excited. But at this point, we want to use the rest of our time or the remaining time we have in our meeting today to kind of open the floor, give everyone a chance to maybe discuss anything or ask any questions or let us know about any upcoming events that we can share out for you or anything. Floor is just open to you for you all.
Colleen, this is Bob Rucker. I have a question for you. What do you hear about the most from the transportation providers that you work with in terms of what they need in order to keep doing what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bob. And I think a lot of it is funding. Funding is challenging for everyone right now. So then, of course, if the funding is cut and they're offering like free or discounted rides, then that means that then they now can't access all those people, provide rides to certain locations or regions. So I think that would be the number one. I mean, I guess I could refer back to the team, but what I'm hearing is that it is the accessibility that's tied to funding. The other thing I think we see, I guess I said one, but one more thing I think we see is that I feel like the regions are so siloed. And I say this all the time. I always use this as an example. If you have someone in Colorado Springs and they need to get to EC Health in Aurora, how do we bridge that gap to where we can get them from Colorado Springs to a certain place and then have someone else take this next leg of the ride? So I feel like those are the two largest issues we see, but anyone else on the team see anything else?
I think something that's also tied to funding, everything goes back to funding, right? Is the availability of vehicles and the turnover of vehicles, because I think a lot of organizations have had vehicles they've been using for years and years, and then it's time to replace it, and maybe they just don't have the funds to fully replace all of them, or just kind of keep up with it. So I think, yeah, everything that I hear, it kind of goes back to funding, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I would say drivers as well still. I do feel like just having a driver shortage in certain areas. I know Via Mobility just got done doing a job fair for drivers and dispatchers. So just, I think, not as bad as it was when we were coming out of COVID, but I think those are still some struggles as well.
Which is tied again to funding. That's for our researchers, but I'm hoping that it'll all get better. I'm hopeful and not worse. Did I answer your question, Bob?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Andrea?
I've just had a TSAC update, something we're pretty excited about. We are going to sponsor 2 workshops, one in Englewood, one in Aurora, in the senior centers. One, letting seniors know what requirements there are to take Access-a-Ride and Access on Demand. And then 2, a little bit of the training on your app. And those are both scheduled for October 13th at the Center for Active Adults and October 20th at Malley Senior Center.
We'll definitely share that info out, Andrea, because we receive a lot of inquiries about the Access-a-Ride application and that process. So do you guys have a flyer or anything that you're going to be sharing out?
We do not have a flyer yet because it's so far out, but we have to be ready by May for their scheduled booklet. The 2 centers have a booklet. So yes, I will have something in May that you can share.
It looks like Sarah needs some clarification on the dates. Can you say them again, please?
October 13th is the Center for Active Adults in Aurora, and October 20th will be at Malley Senior Center.
Thank you.
In Englewood.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Let me take Mobility for All has an Access-a-Ride packet I made. Nice. Thanks,
if you guys
Sarah.
need support with, I teach Access-a-Ride workshops and like Access on Demand workshops. So if you guys need any kind of support with like helping like learn how we do that, we have packets and stuff.
Nice.
Right now, RTD is going to present that part.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know whose hand, was it Ryan or Brent whose hand was up first? Did anyone know?
Brent was up first.
Okay, you.
I got some exciting news about 2 weeks ago when I was at the Capital for IDT Awareness Day. We had a luncheon at the art museum and they gave out awards and I was nominated by 5 of my colleagues and I won Advocate of the Year.
Oh,
Great job,
That's
Brent.
that's well
Congrats.
deserved, Brent, because you are truly an
Absolutely.
advocate for that community. So good job.
So just FYI.
No, that's great news. I wonder if we should I always want to spotlight which causes the
Do
team
you
more
want
work. So
me
they're like,
send
shut up,
do you
Colleen.
want me send you the stories they wrote about me?
Yes, we would love to share that. I think that'd be so cool.
Who should I send it to you
You
or
can send it to me and I'll forward it to, I guess would be, well, I'll forward to where it needs to go. You can send it
okay.
to me. Let me put, you have my email address, right? Or you want to put it back
Yeah.
in the chat? Okay.
And
Thank you.
I
That's so
have
exciting.
a question for Sarah. What's going on with Uber on Demand?
Jamie, are you still
For me?
here?
Sarah
Oh,
or
for Sarah.
Jamie?
Or Jamie? Yeah, I think Jamie probably knows more about this, but I've heard lately that there has been like more ideas that RTD has had about that. They were saying something about like $20 is gonna be covered for access on demand, and that like the what is it called? The service area is going to be limited to just where RTD goes, within 3/4 of a mile to where RTD goes. So it'll only be where Access-a-Ride goes that Access on Demand can go. And then they want to like charge a $4.50 fee up front. And there was something about somebody said that like they should charge 20, or they should keep this $25 subsidy. Or something about that. But I don't know if Jamie's still here. He might know a little bit more about that.
I don't think so.
When will that go into effect? Or
I
are they
think
still focused
May.
on it?
Yeah, I think May, the beginning of May.
actually, the RTD board will
Oh,
act on what the final decision on those 2 services is. Hopefully in May, but they haven't said for sure that they will make their decision in May. They're going to be cutting back the number of rides. People will be allowed, things like that. They haven't made their final decision yet. And then it would go into effect probably with, is it September or October when they have the service change?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, good to know.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, that's very helpful.
Andrea, is it on the RTD website yet or no?
No,
No, because it hasn't been finalized.
they don't know yet what they're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah. They had like a board meeting about it and I joined, and it was like 2 hours of discussion about it and nothing ever
Oh
came to
my
it.
God.
It was ridiculous. It was
I
very
won't
silly.
go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was a committee meeting and they wanted input from those people who were there.
There was also
I'm
yeah,
on the citizen advisory committee for RTD, and we tend to get that kind of information. So I think when we have our meeting next week, I may know a little bit more.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
helpful. Yeah, because there was a committee meeting. I joined that meeting too, and that was 2 hours. But then the actual board meeting was like 4 hours long, and like 2 hours of that were discussing access on demand. And it was like, okay, but I don't know what we're like. It kind of went around in circles. And then somebody was saying like, well, if we can't drug test our drivers or whatever, like access on demand drivers and make sure they're sober, like, and they were freaking out about that. That was one of the directors, like one of the board of directors, and they were worried about that. And I was like, okay, that's fair, but like also then he's like, well, then I guess we just can't do it. And I'm like, well, Uber drug tests and stuff I don't know, but it was a whole
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks, Brett.
I don't know if I could make it through a 4-hour board meeting.
Yeah, I
Ryan.
know. I know. And like I was on the floor in my room, so like, and I could take a break, like, but they were there in their room, just, I don't know, that just sounds so hard.
Crazy.
Oh, crazy. I know.
All right, Ryan, thanks for being patient.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right. Well, I have some exciting news, or at least I think it's exciting news. For Douglas County, the Board of County Commissioners went ahead and gave the approval for our expansion of Link on Demand.
Whoa.
The same
is
service that
huge.
was in Lone Tree, and now that's moving over into Highlands Ranch. So the next 2 months will be comprised of, Via and myself basically going through everything that we need so that we can get the launch going either in late May, early June. We'll probably have a more firm date as more things go along the planning process. But yeah, excited for that. That will be a
That is
free
exciting.
service that we're able to provide for all residents who happen to find themselves in Highlands Ranch. So more to come.
That is exciting.
Oh,
Need
that's
it. Long
great.
time ago. Good news.
What is that again? Sorry. That's an
Sure.
on-demand service?
Yes, it is. Yes. So it
Oh,
is a micro
awesome.
transit service.
Wow.
The intent is that within the service area of Highlands Ranch, you should be able to go curb to curb wherever you'd like to, um, as as a free service. But
Wow.
then we will also have additional points of connectivity at the Littleton Mineral Station, as well as the County Line Station. So for folks who are coming into Douglas County from using the RTD light rails, they should then be able to move further into Highlands Ranch and into Lone Tree.
Oh, that's so helpful. Wow, that's gonna be
Yeah,
amazing.
huge.
Yeah.
It's going
So
to help a lot of
Yeah.
folks with some
Yeah, that sounds
transportation
amazing. Is
barriers.
there a website for that? And you said that's gonna be live in 2 months?
yep, that's the
Oh,
intent.
wow.
No website at the moment, but Lone Tree's Link on Demand has already been a service that's been around for 10 years. And so they
Oh,
have their website, and it's useful to go to and kind of get a feel for what that service is going to be like. It's just that's going to extend out into Highlands Ranch.
that is amazing. I have a friend in Highlands Ranch that's visually impaired, like myself, so I'm excited to tell her about that. Thank you
Awesome.
for sharing.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you say Littleton Light Rail Station as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
It's called Link on Demand.
Yeah, so that was the name that Lone Tree went ahead and branded for themselves. And since we are basically building off of their success, we didn't want to take that from them. So the name will remain the same. The one challenge though is that if you are utilizing the service and you are specifically only in Lone Tree, then those are the only you will use Lone Tree's Link on Demand to make those trips. But moving anywhere in between and out of Lone Tree into Highlands Ranch, you will use whether we end up calling it the Highlands Ranch Link on Demand or the Douglas County Link on Demand. I'm sure that will be a decision for the board to make. But yeah, more to come.
Congratulations.
That's
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's good news. Anything else? Right, well, I think we can go on to our member spotlight. So, in addition to our member spotlights, we also always like to give a special shout out to our Dr. Mac members. If you aren't already a Dr. Mac member, head over to our website to unlock all the perks. There's still time. And that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Thank you all for attending and learning with us. We look forward to seeing you at our next month meeting scheduled for May 13th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. on Zoom. The registration links for all of our 2025 meetings can be found on our website. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next month.